Hi, over the past few days, I've been asked by friends, hey, what are you reading? What have you gotten that's new? And I was thinking about doing a video, but I decided to this time get in front of the camera, um, which is not normally what I like to do, but and just talk about the books that I got. Sorry for not shaving, just wanted to say that. So the first thing I did pick up from the library is Zippy Annual 1. This was published by Fantagraphics, I believe around, I'm going to say 2000-ish. Yeah, June 2000. And this is a collection of Bill Griffith's Zippy cartoons. And Bill Griffith is going to be at the Miami International Book Fair. He's going to be in a panel, and I believe he's going to be signing copies of his new book, Three Rocks. So even though Three Rocks is not about Zippy, I wanted to read about Zippy just to kind of get an idea of his work, so I'm not totally clueless. So that is why I picked it up. I've read a few of the pages. Interesting. It's fun. It's a good comic strip. Now, from Phantom of the Attic in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, I got my monthly or so shipment of comics, and I don't get many floppies, I guess they call them, because I just, for the most part, I don't see the value there, but I pick up a few here and there. First, I got Void Rivals. This is the 5th issue of a 6-issue miniseries. This is written by Robert Kirkman, and this is the initial series of books that are rebooting the Energon universe, which is the universe with the Transformers and G.I. Joe. And so far it's been interesting. I mean, if I'm not a Transformer expert, G.I. Joe I know even less about. But if you're familiar with it, there's some side characters and enough a little bit in the background, even though they're not really integral to the story, they're there. So it gives you this little taste. But the story overall is pretty good. I enjoy it. Monthly, I get from DC Nightwing by Tom Taylor. And this has been a fun story. I've been reading it the entire Tom Taylor run because Tom Taylor is is probably the most consistent writer working at DC or Marvel. And I thought, okay, well, let me try it. And I like his take on the character. I think it's fun. It's starting to get a little bit draggy. It's that thing that you have with comics nowadays. I think ever since Bendis was able to get away with it, where nothing really happens very much. So you can, a story that would take 1-2 issues, you can stretch it over 6 or 7 or 8. And there's less story and more issues for that story. So it's kind of diluted. So it's not there yet, but it's starting to get there. And so I'm going to see how it goes. I wanted to finish this run when Tom Taylor leaves the book. We'll see. I mean, it's not bad, but we'll see. Related is Titans, also written by Tom Taylor. Never been a huge Titans fan. I mean, I did collect a Marv Wolfman, George Perez run back in the 80s, but I'm giving it, 6, 7, 8 issues, see how it goes. It's not bad, but it's that same thing again. It's like not a lot is happening, and can't really blame Tom Taylor. That's just a thing with the big two, and you can only keep engaged so much when you're spending, $4, $5 a pop, when you could be spending that money on things that you really, really dig. Also, I got Justice League versus Godzilla versus Kong, which is a 5-issue miniseries. I got this because I like a good Godzilla story. I picked up this variant because Chris, my son, was the one that told me, hey, they got Jim Lee to draw this. And, they may really want to push this because Jim Lee doesn't draw anything anymore. And it's true, he doesn't. So first issue was good. It's a slow burn setup. But, you can't have everything happen in the first 3 pages either. So it's a setup, build up, but it's not draggy. So I'm looking for the next issues. And also from the attic, I got The Mysteries by Watterson and Kasht. And This is a really interesting work from them because it's so different than anything they've done. Bill Watterson is Bill Watterson of Calvin and Hobbes fame, and it is a black and white, it's black and white image and then some text, and it's really a fable slash, I would say, cautionary tale and description about how man's dealing with learning science and knowledge, and then how it leads to technological advancement, and maybe a little warning for us in the future. But it's a good read. I would give this 3.5 out of 5 stars. 5 stars for me would be like The Bow of the Virgin, something, Watchmen, something really classic and iconic. So it's a pretty good book. I enjoyed it. I thought it was a good read. And it's experimental. I like seeing these guys are established, do something totally different. And next from them, I got the John Severin Westerns. This is a collection of the character American Eagle plus a few other characters in the back. These are all stories that were drawn by John Severin. John Severin was a cartoonist that in the 50s he did EC work. He did this. And then in the 60s he went into Marvel and did a lot of the Westerns, especially Two Gun Kid. Rawhide Cowboy. And I would say that this is a really nice, well-made production based on the original comics. It's really cleaned up, looks really nice and clean, great paper, really well made. Normally I don't get books like this because this costs $65, and usually I don't spend that much on new books. But I like John Severin as an artist. I think John Severin doesn't get enough credit as being a great artist for comics, especially from that era. And this is also from the Fantagraphics Underground imprint. And for those of you who aren't familiar with it, Fantagraphics Underground is a usually low print runs. Once they're run out, they're out. You can't find them. And I just didn't want to think, oh, well, maybe I'll get it, and then decide I want to get it later and I can't find it, or I got to pay an astronomical price on eBay because it's no longer in print. So about almost 500 pages, really meticulously printed and restored. It just looks really great. This is something that you read a little bit, for me, read a little bit, put it away, read a little bit, put it away. Maybe over the next 6 months, probably a year, then I'll be able to read it. But it's a nice, handsome, very well-made book. Just really high quality. So this past week also, my friend Amir, who is from the Bay Area, he sent me a message, and he's like, hey, do you have this comic? And I said, no. And the reason I said no is that I don't think I've ever bought an Excalibur comic in my life. I mean, what I know about them is that they are a band of mutants that are based in the UK, and that's it. So he told me, I'm going to send this to you. You should have it, but you got to promise you're not going to Google it. You're not going to find out. And I go, okay, I won't ruin the surprise, whatever the surprise is. And what I find out is that it's penciled by Barry Windsor Smith, inked by Bill Sienkiewicz. And so those are two of my favorite cartoon creators, artists and comics. So I'm looking forward to it. I hope the Chris Claremont writing isn't too insipid. I mean, I'll be honest, I'm not a huge Chris Claremont fan. I think he gets a lot of credit for stuff that artists brought to the table. To me, when I read Chris Claremont, it reminds me of what somebody told me about reading the Incal, that to see that beautiful Mobius art, the price you pay is reading that Jodorowsky script. And if you've read the Incal, you know what I'm talking about. So, but I'm looking forward to reading that. Also, he threw in a couple of freebies, or extras. This is from SPX. This is a benefit comic from 1997. All funds go to the Comic Book Legal Defense Fund. So this is a jam comic. There's about 30 creators here, if I can find it. These are all the creators. It includes people like John Porcellino, Aaron Brunetti, Shannon Wheeler, a bunch of other people. 1-2 page stories is pretty thick. I haven't read this. I just kind of like flipped through it for a minute, but some of the pages got some really nice art. A lot of these cartoonists, I don't even know who they are, but I'm looking forward to reading this very much. And also, he threw in this book, Shit My President Says. Now, this is a book that came out, is it 2017 or 2016? 2017. This is a collection of Donald Trump's tweets from 2012 to 2016 or so. And they're collected, and each of these tweets has like a funny drawing. And when you read this, I mean, I skimmed through it now, and when you read this, you're like, well, it was there. You know, it was there. And it's, I think this was like a lot of books that were published. They were going to be like gag books on, you know, Donald Trump trying to be president and then failing. And they didn't really think people would be crazy enough to vote for him as president, but they did. So I think it didn't take a lot of traction because there was the humor in it was missed, because the humor was that he ran and he lost, but he ran and won. So it kind of like they created books that there was really no audience for, but it's good. And I remember, and this is actually signed and doodled by Shannon Wheeler. And what's really ironic is that I picked this up. Shannon Wheeler was at the 2017 Miami Book Fair, and he was talking about this book, and I actually picked up a copy, and I had him sign it, and I gave it to a friend of mine. And then afterwards I thought, you know, I should have gotten a copy for myself as well. That was a missed opportunity. I should have gotten a copy of that. And so it's funny how 6 years later, everything kind of like loops around, and I get a signed copy of this book that I wanted, brand new. So, you know, you read this now and it's funny because it's ridiculous, but these are the same tweets that were kind of being issued when he was president. So it's sort of like, it's like a comedian that runs out of material, so says the same jokes. And then lastly, I got from Desmond Reed, Neighbors. Now, this is a comic that he produced for MICE. MICE is, I think it's the Massachusetts Independent Comic Expo. It's an annual independent comics and zine convention and held in Boston. And he created this comic for it. And a while back, I mean, I've gotten to know Desmond over the past several months. I have an interview with him on my YouTube channel. I've reviewed his books. I think he's very talented, and this features his characters, the Cola Pop Creamies. And what led me to get this book was that I had an extra copy of a graphic novel, and I didn't really want to sell it on eBay. So I asked him, hey, listen, do you have this? And he's like, no, but I've been wanting to get it. And I'm like, hey, I'll send it to you. So I just sent it to him, gifted it to him. And then this past week, he said, hey, this is a thank you for that book. So this is a mini comic that he did that I didn't know existed, or I maybe thought maybe I saw it and then I forgot. And I really love the Cola Pop Creamy, so I'm really glad I got this. Desmond's a really good guy. Follow him on Instagram at Desmond T. Reed. And right now he is a scholar. What do they call it? When you're a scholar in residence, I believe that's the term or something like that, at MIT in Cambridge, Cambridge, Massachusetts. So things are going pretty well for him. And so I'm happy for that. And I'm happy to get this nice thick mini comic of Cola Pop Creamies. And that's really it. I've got a lot of different stuff and a lot of things to read. And next month, there's about 7, I think, or so graphic novels that are coming out that are on my pull list. So when I get those, maybe I'll talk about those too and show them off. But, and I don't even know if this video works as far as like if people just rather see the books and not see me. So if you have an opinion, just let me know. You're not going to hurt my feelings, man. Anyway, thank you very much and have a great rest of your day or in your evening.